me, it's only one rule. I will not lose.
Do you guys see these bags? Oh my God, this darkness under my eyes is not okay. I keep telling myself I need to start filming these videos, like the moment I get up, brush my teeth, wash my face, throw something on, film a video. Because at least at the point, I'm probably looking a whole lot better or don't have bags and darkness under my eyes because it's YouTube. People like pretty people, and this is not looking real pretty right now. Not to say that I'm pretty, but I'm just, this is not a good look, you know? It's still early. Maybe my channel will blow up and I get a makeup artist so I could just be model material. Get this all evened out. But anyways, who cares? Welcome to my review, Coming to America. This movie was trash. It was absolute trash. I have notes. So I'm gonna end up looking down and looking at these notes because I watched this movie a couple of days ago and I've been meaning to make this video. Life gets in the way. But I have notes because it's not completely fresh in my mind like it was before. I ended up watching this movie twice. It wasted an extra hour and a half of my life that I shouldn't have wasted because the movie's trash. Because the first time I watched it, I was like kind of like half asleep. Like I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, oh, the movie's out. Let me just watch it. And I realized I wasn't laughing or like digging the movie. So I was like, okay. Maybe it's because I was half asleep. You know how you're like half asleep and you're just half paying attention? That's what I thought. That wasn't the case. This movie's just trash. Watched it a second time, taking notes. Trash. Fucking trash. My theories, both of them, of like Wesley still in the movie and then Hakeem's son not being his son, debunked. Wesley not still in the movie, I'm kind of mad about because Wesley has comedic chops. Before he was Passenger 57 in Blade, and before he was in New Jack City doing his dramatic acting, he was doing comedy roles. Major League, you know, so the dude could hold his own. Like, can he hold his own against like these heavyweights in comedy like Arsenio and Eddie? Yeah, probably not. But he could definitely get some chuckles out of you. They don't really let him shine. They should have, because I think his character had the depth to really shine. To the point, I think they need a spin-off movie of just Next Doria. And you're like, what? That's the name of the country. That's next to Zamunda. Next Doria. Izzy, Wesley Snipes' character, is the general of Next Doria. And his sister is the girl from the first movie who was promised to Eddie's character, Hakeem, that he had hop on one foot and bark like a dog. Evidently, when a prince says that to his bride-to-be or tells her something to do something, he has to release her. So for the past 30 fucking years, she's been hopping and barking like a dog for 30 fucking years. Like, that was like the joke. And yeah, Jesus. That's trash writing. That's trash writing. Like, to a point, it will work. It will work in the sense of the reason why Izzy is pissed off at Hakeem. And their countries have been at arms for the past 30 years. And like, they're supposed to unite through marriage of their kids. You know, that joke would work if you put more focus on Next Doria and the stuff they've been going through. But they didn't. And they didn't. So let's get into it. It starts off the way you think. This movie is almost like cut and paste of the very first movie, but just kind of like in a reverse form, which sucks. But a lot of movies do this, but a lot do it better. Like The Hangover and Hangover 2, same fucking movie. But if you never watched Hangover Part 1, you just watch Hangover Part 2, you'll be like, oh shit, that shit is hilarious. You know, same damn thing, but it works. But then again, it was done in a reasonable time frame, not 30 years apart, which fucks this movie up. There's a lot of guests that show up throughout the movie, like guest appearances. Louis Anderson shows up early in the movie. He was in the first movie. He shows up in this movie. At McDowell's, they have one in Africa. promoting the Beyond Burger that has 0 animal byproducts, so it's literally a grass burger. They hate it. I'm gonna be looking down because I got notes. Like I said, I should have did this a couple of days ago, so bear with me. Then we get Wesley Snipes' character that comes in, and I basically just told you about that. They're going back and forth at it. He's like, you owe me for doing what you did to my sister. We need to unite our countries in this stupid war. But he's like, you don't have a son, so what are we gonna do? How about you get your daughter to marry my son? And Eddie's not with that. He's like, I believe in free love. Let people choose who they want to be with. And so it's basically like, well, we need to do something or it's gonna be your head. Like he's basically threatening to kill Eddie. You know, and that's like a subplot that gets spoke of at random points in this fucking movie, but we never see it go anywhere. Like there should have been some like conflict, some major conflict shown. Like they dropped the ball for the dumbest storyline they actually put in this movie. So next we get, you know, Eddie gets called to his father's room. Basically, his dad's about to die. He tells him, look, I thought you were gonna give me an heir to the throne of Zamunda. Somebody take over after you. You haven't done that, but you do have a son. And Eddie's like, what are you talking about? I don't have a son. And then Simi's trying to sneak out. Then we find out it is Simi's fault that he has a son. My theory was wrong. Half of it was wrong. Like I said, that Simi's gonna be the reason why this kid exists. That is the reason. So we get a flashback to the nightclub scene in the first movie. They de-age Arsenio and Eddie Murphy, and they do a really good job on the parts that they're de-aged. Like there's only moments, and it's really all it's gonna depend on your TV screen that it looks a little off. But for the most part, the CGI they did was really, really good on de-aging these guys. We meet Leslie Jones at this point, and Simi basically is like, hey, look, my boy's a prince. I'm just trying to hook him up. Leslie Jones is like, I'm a hoe. I'll jump his boots, just like that. They go back to their apartment. Leslie Jones basically drugs Eddie. Not really drugs, but he's already kind of, I think, drunk from the club. But then she, you know, shotguns weed smoke into his mouth and like kind of drugs him and then jumps on him. And he was like, that never happened. I remember this wild boar busting into the room and jumping on me, and then and then he goes, and then like he chokes Simi out and starts kicking him in the ribs because he has a bastard son in America because of Simi. And don't get mad at me for calling him a bastard because that's what they do in this movie. The majority of this movie, he is called the bastard to the point where you don't really realize what his name is unless you're absolutely paying attention. His name is Lavelle, but I'm just gonna call him bastard for the fuck of it because this movie's garbage, so he doesn't deserve that kind of respect. After that realization, James Earl Jones basically tells Eddie, look, I'm about to die, but before I die, I want to see my funeral, which is really weird. But I guess if you're rich as hell and you're a king of a kingdom, you can do this weird shit. So next thing we have is James Earl Jones in a coffin watching his funeral. Like, you know, all the stuff that would happen at a funeral, people singing, dancing, and telling stories happens in the scene. This is where we get a lot of the guest appearances. We get Morgan Freeman giving a eulogy, which is awesome. Let this be a statement. When I die, and let's just hope, I hope that this channel gets some success, have Morgan Freeman give me my eulogy, because that dude's voice is awesome. Like, it's fucking awesome. Like, I could listen to this dude read a damn phone book and be okay with it and just be hypnotized. Like, his voice is just magic to my ears. Morgan Freeman. But then we also get Gladys Knight. She shows up. Salt and Pepper and In Vogue show up to do What a Man or What a King, What a Mighty Mighty Good King or something like that. So as the funeral goes on, James turns to Eddie and he basically tells him, hey, look, you're king now. I'm gonna die. And closes his eyes and he's like, no, you're not dead. And then James Earl Jones just, a nice little smile on his face, dies. After that, you get Eddie talking to Simi, talking about, I need to go find my son. I need to make sure I have an heir to the throne. You know, that's what my father wanted. We're going back to America. And then that's when we get like the parts of the trailer where it's like, oh, hell no, your highness. They go back to America. They end up in a barbershop. They're looking for this kid. They show them a sketch of this kid. They find the kid. He tells them, like, you're my son. The dude doesn't believe him. Even though he doesn't believe him, he takes these two random ass Africans back to his house. And then his mom pops out, Leslie Jones. She's like, oh my God, my prince is back. See, I told you guys I was with a prince. Hey, Princey. And then, you know, he's like, this is really my dad? And she's like, well, it could be. Like, I don't know. It's like, I was a hoe back then. She's like, I was a hoe. I should have got paid for it. I was a hoe. Because he has like uncles and cousins in the house with him as well. And at this point, you would think like maybe at a certain point in the script where she says that's like, I don't know, I was a hoe back then. It couldn't be. Maybe they're thinking maybe we'll have a plot twist later that it's not really Hakeem's kid. That's what I was thinking. When I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, maybe my theory's gonna come true. Maybe they'll do some kind of blood test or something in like Zamunda and they'll realize it's not Eddie's kid, that it is Simi's. Spoiler alert, they don't do that shit. It's Hakeem's fucking kid. They don't even try to verify it ever. Like, and oh wait, all this started about him knowing there's a kid in fucking America because this damn voodoo fucking priest thing guy, I don't know, his name is Baba. It's Arsenio Hall in makeup, which is, he's pretty funny. He's like, I had a vision, you had a son, and the royal sketch artist sketched this out. And that's how the king finds out, like, there's the bastard child, and then, like, they get Simi to, like, reveal it to be true. So, they end up going back to Africa. Hakeem never tells Lisa, aka Tigress, not Tigress, she's a lioness, she's not that old yet. And she's just like, okay, well, I can't be mad. Like, I had guys before you ever met me, and, you know, so you made some kingly mistakes. But he doesn't tell him he brought his son and his mom back. So there's a little conflict there. Like, you know, Leslie Jones is trying to be, like, nice to Lisa, but Lisa's like, bitch, get the fuck away from me. Things get a little weird. They have a dinner. That's when we find out that Mika wants to be queen, but they can't do it because it's not in the rules, it's not in the laws. Like, only a male could be heir to the throne of Zamunda. But even though Eddie ran off and found his own wife, which broke a law, like, that's like the conflict of the movie, that Eddie's forgetting what Eddie did in the first movie, which is also super fucking stupid. Like, he should never forget that. All he's ever done at being a king, not a king, he wasn't even a king yet, a prince, which is break every fucking rule he wasn't supposed to do. So they just completely abandoned Eddie's character in this movie just to make him seem like he just popped out of like a time machine. Like, everything around him is modern. Like, he don't know shit. It's weird. It's just bad writing. Okay, so they have this awkward dinner, and then they wake up in the morning, and this is where we get the royal bathers. They come into the bastard's room, 3 of them. This time, titties are not out, but they have like these flesh color, like kind of like bras to make you think they're nude. So I don't know what this is rated. I don't know if it's PG-13 or R. If the original movie is rated R, this should just be fucking rated R. Plain and simple, because the people who love this movie are people who are old and expect this movie to follow in the line of the original movie. Am I basically saying I want to see some titty? Yes and no. To be perfectly honest with you, I just wanted this thing to be like a proper successor to the original, not some toned down piece of garbage. And I'm not saying it's toned down because of woke culture and shit like that. It's just toned down because that's what happens with movies nowadays. When they get like the long awaited sequel or the reboot, they fucking tone shit down because they don't think like the real audience of the movie could handle a proper sequel. This is not a proper sequel. This thing is just garbage. Anyways, royal bathers, the bastard doesn't know what to do. He's like, y'all gonna bathe me naked? And they're just like, mm-hmm. He's like, hold up, I'll be right back. Then when he walks off, goes into Leslie Jones's room, he's like, hey mom, there's like three women that want to bathe me. Like, what should I do? And like, she's like, just, this is their customs. Like, just do whatever, enjoy yourself. He's like, all right, mom. And Leslie Jones, she's in like this big ass, like, looks like a pool, but it's like a pool hot tub. And all of a sudden we see a bather pop up out of the water, and he's like, the royal privates are washed or some shit like that. And she's like, are you satisfied? She's like, let's just do that one more time. And then like, dude sinks back down in the water. All right, so next that we have is basically what we had like in the first movie when Hakeem was being introduced to like his planned wife. This big celebration, dancers and stuff like this. But now it's like more modern. And this is where we see Tiana Taylor. So time out real quick. I don't know much about Tiana Taylor. Like, I don't. I'm gonna be perfectly real. I don't know much about her. I know she was in the Faded video, and I just kind of remember just being like, she's bad. In this movie, in this like opening scene, like the dance scene is awesome. Like they're doing like a modern hip hop African kind of beat thing with the dancing and stuff like that, which kind of sucks because they take away from the culture of Africa. But I understand this is a more modern Africa. This is not 80s Africa where they're not getting much of the Western world. Like now we're living the day of internet and all this stuff. So everything that's happening in other parts of the world, they're definitely fucking seeing it, especially in Zamunda and like the neighboring countries that have the ability to do it. So, but I still wish it was more traditional African than like African hip hop. But the dance scene is pretty cool. It's a pretty good dance scene. Tiana Taylor comes out and she looks bad. Now, the thing about Tiana Taylor, I'm still on timeout. I don't know what to think about her. Like, you look at her and you know she's attractive, but at the same time, you're kind of like, I don't know if you look right. She has this unique exoticness to her where it's like you don't know how to describe it. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like I don't think you can look at Tiana Taylor and be like, that's not an attractive woman. Like I think the reason why it's weird because she always kind of has this look on her face like she looks like she is a lion or like a tiger ready to pounce on you. Like she's just in ready mode. So instead of just being like relaxed in the face and just letting the beauty sink through, she looks aggressive as fuck. So it's off-putting, but at the same time, you're like, I want you to jump on me and just ravage the fuck out of me. And if I don't survive, it's okay, because that's probably the greatest moment of my life. That's how she looks in this movie and in this scene. She just has that, I'm gonna pounce on you and you're never gonna fucking forget it. Okay, so time out, over, time in. We get Tiana Taylor making her appearance. She is the daughter of Izzy, Wesley Snipes' character, and she does this kind of like dance and song, and then the bastard, like whatever song she's doing, I don't know it, but evidently, like Hakeem's daughters know it. Leslie Jones and the bastard knows it, and Leslie Jones is like, this motherfucking song, you better get on it, and she hands him a mic and he starts rapping to the song, and then the song ends, and Izzy's talking to Wesley's talking to Eddie, and they're like, do we have a arrangement for marriage? And then he's like, bastard, do you take her to be your wife? And he's like, yeah, because she's just hot. He's just looking hot and sexy and aggressive. So we get that. We know Hakeem's against arranged marriages. Before everything happened, like Baba comes out and he's like, you got to make sure that he passes all the princely tests. And the princely test was like courage and knowledge and strength and all this kind of stuff before you could actually, get married. The next scene we get is of him talking to his barber, which I forgot to mention before. He has a barber, she's pretty, and this is obvious, fucking obvious where this is going. He's gonna fall for the barber, and he ends up falling for the barber in the end because he's gonna find his own love just like his dad did. The barber basically tells him, "Why don't you just be you? Why you want to be a king, and why you want to marry somebody you don't really want to marry or arrange to?" That's basically what she tells him. He learns more about her. She wants to open up her own shop, like the barbershop movies, but the one with Queen Latifah, aka Beauty Shop. So he starts doing these tests. He's like failing all the tests left and right. The barber once again is like, you just need to be you. If you're gonna pass these tests, and if you want to be king, and claim like your birthright for the most part, like you just need to be you. So he gets his Uncle Reem to come in from Queens, and Uncle Reem is played by Tracy Morgan, and then they go through their own like training montage of getting him prepared in the Queen's way. And he basically passed all these tests. One of the tests is to get the whiskers from a sleeping lion, not a sleeping lion, but just get the whiskers from a lion, which takes more than like just guts. It takes like skill and brain work and all that stuff. Mika, who wants to be queen and kind of hates him, helps him accomplish this by they build this little trap. He runs up to this lion. The lion chases him. He falls into this trap. The lion is on top of this like cage thing, clawing at him. But then the lion gets distracted, starts licking the cage. And then Eddie's watching. It's like, what is that lion doing? And he's like, well, what do you think is gonna happen when you give a big cat food? That was his whole goal. And like this little part that says, if I'm gonna beat this, I gotta be smarter than the cat. And the way you can be smarter than the cat is give an angry cat food. As if lions like cans of Frisky. So that was the thing. Clips the whiskers off. And he passed that test. The last test is his circumcision, which we also kind of see in the trailer. But it's not a real circumcision. It's just another test of courage. If you're willing to put your most cherished possession or object up for a sacrifice, that's courage. And they don't really chop his penis, and he passes all the tests. There's another party. He realizes he's fallen in love with a barber because the barber helped him pass all these tests. He realizes he wants to choose his real love and not be just married to one. So he goes to talk to his dad. Eddie's talking to Wesley. Wesley basically tells him, good job for playing your kid like a fool in this game of chess, to bring our country together and be prosperous. He overhears this, not really knowing the context of it. Leaves Zamunda, takes the private jet, goes back to Queens with the barber, decides to get married in Queens with the barber. Eddie finds this out, chases after him. While he's gone, Wesley's character, who wants, the marriage to happen, but they're stalling the marriage, he's kind of getting frustrated, decides to kind of attack Eddie's daughters. They fight back, they win because they're badasses. This should have been one of those scenes where Wesley should have been like badass, but he really wasn't. He gets like a move or two in and just kind of gets taken out by the daughters and Arsenio's character. Eddie's back in Queens. He ends up finding, his bastard and his barber, and tells him like, hey, look, you're right. You should love who you love and do what you want to do, because that's what I did. I literally broke all the rules to find my true love. He convinces them to not get married in this cheap house with Arsenio and prosthetics, being like this weird, creepy, like preacher / pimp. I don't know what he is. He's like, well, I want my family to be there. He's like, well, we'll just bring Queens back to Zamunda. And then they fly back to Zamunda and they end up getting married. Big celebration. This is where you get another like cameo shout out or guest appearance from the rapping twins that was in the club scene. My name is Peaches and I'm the best. All the guys want to touch my breast. whatever how that scene goes down. They come back. They're in the final scene. Izzy or Wesley Snipes' character, they make amends and peace. Mainly because Eddie releases his sister from the barking dog and jumping on one foot, kind of like trance that he had put on her, you know. So they're now gonna work together, and that basically is the movie. Yeah, that's it. I made way more detailed notes here, but that basically is the movie. It's trash. It's oh my god. It's other trash. It's fucking garbage. I don't know what to say. I don't like my theories alone. Just the theory of him being Simi's son, Arsenio Hall's son, would have been way better. That would have been a way better plot line, them getting his blood test done, figuring that out, having Wesley, you know, really putting the pressure on Eddie to unite the countries, or he's gonna assassinate Eddie, because that's also like a little plot point that gets sprinkled in here and there, that Eddie, you're gonna get killed by Wesley Snipes' character if you don't like unite these two kingdoms together. That would have been better. That would have been so much better than this movie. Like, Coming to America is a gem. It's a treasure gem when it comes to comedies. It's one of the best comedies ever. Especially as a black comedy, it's one of the best black comedies ever. They dropped the ball, and that happens. That happens when you make a sequel 30 years later. When it comes to comedy changes a lot compared to other genres of entertainment. Like, action movies are action movies. Their formula's pretty much the same. But when it comes to comedy, there's different comedies when it comes to movies. Way different comedies when it comes to movies. We went through the era of, gross out comedies with, the Farrelly brothers in like the 90s, with Dumb and Dumber. Then you had like the raunchy humor with like American Pie, and you went the rated R humor with like Fridays and The Hangover. Comedies, like, they change. Like, they go for a circle at times, but they change a lot. So if you have a movie that's based decades ago and you try to make a sequel later, it doesn't work. And a couple examples is when they made the Dumb and Dumber sequel, the official sequel with, Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey. Like, it was a good movie. It was okay, but it didn't live up to the hype. Anchorman 2, when they finally made that sequel, it was okay. Didn't live up to the hype. It was just too far removed. This is one of those movies, like, this was just bad. This was just other bad trash. Like, I applaud them for basically bringing back every character that was in the first movie. Like, you don't really see that happening in sequels, especially like sequels that go this long. Like, there's only a handful of characters that didn't come back, which maybe because they're busy or they probably passed away. But a lot of the characters in the first movie, you'll see in this movie. Even like the minor characters, like I was saying, like Fancy from the Jamie Foxx show, she was the flower girl. She's in the first scene in the movie. She's handing out flowers to like the new generation of flower girls. It's like she's Queen Flower Lady, and then she has her like servants under her or whatever. I'm just disappointed. For my first review, I hope I did okay. I'll get better as I get on. I know it's a super long-winded, but it's just so bad. Like, they could have done so much more with this movie. They really could have. Like, they just dropped the ball everywhere. Like I said, I think my theory alone would have made for a better plot point. Then you have Izzy, Wesley Snipes' character, really doing his best to like take over Zamunda, while Eddie's trying to figure out, is this dude really his son? What is he gonna do about his daughter wanting to be queen? That would have been perfect for this movie. That conflict would have worked. Just have funny scenes with Wesley on the side. Rick Ross is in this movie also. He has a quick cameo. speaking of Wesley's character, like have him off to the side talking to his general, which is Rick Ross, is one of his generals that you only seen in one scene. That would have been perfect. Like, I'm just disappointed. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I was angrier a couple of days ago when I watched this and really paid attention. That I should have made them. Should have made this video then. But at this point now, I'm just kind of over it. I'm like, fuck, man. Don't watch it. Don't waste your time. If you want to see Coming to America, just watch Coming to America. Plain and simple. Because they dropped the ball. They really could have went in a whole direction. Even set this up for like a third movie, like a spinoff with Wesley's character and his nation that he's ruling as the general. But no, they decide to just try to play fan service, and it ruined the movie. It just flat out ruined the movie. That's all I gotta say. Anyways, that was my review of Coming to America. Oh, the only other thing I can say is Eddie Murphy's voice. Almost all his characters, his side characters, they almost all sound like the Clumps now. Like, I kid you not. Randy Watson, sexual chocolate. Sexual chocolate. Sounds like the Clumps' father. Who else sounds like the Clumps' father? Like, I wrote it down. The barbershop dude, the head dude at the barbershop sounds like the Clump's father. Like, I guess he's kind of been in his semi-retirement for so long, he can't really, make these voices anymore because they sound like the Clumps. Yeah. But anyways, look, I'm done. Like, that's all I can say about this movie. It's just utter trash. If you sat here and listened to my review, I appreciate it. This is the first review I did. As I make more reviews, they will definitely get better. I want to add more production, insert videos as well. But I want to get this review out. And let me know what you think. If you watched the movie and you thought it was good or you thought it was trash, throw it in the comments below. If you have movies that you want me to take a look at, throw them in the comments below. So if you have a movie that you think is so good that it's bad, so bad that it's good, or you watched it and you're like, why in the fuck did they make that? Throw in the comment section below. Anyways, you guys, thanks for sitting with me, listening to me ramble on about Coming to America 2. That's it.
Repeat after me. It's only one rule. I will not lose.